Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Remy and I'm in school for ultrasound. And like a lot of people who are in school, I spend a lot of time thinking about my future job. Now, I'm so excited about my future career in healthcare, and it's not just about the money for me, but the money is still something that matters. Obviously, I'm not doing this as a charity, I'm not doing volunteer work, this is my career. So I wanted to know how much sonographers make. So I found some really good information that I wanted to share with you all. So the first place I looked was the US Bureau for Labor Statistics, and they had a lot of really good data. I will leave a link in the description because it was pretty cool to look at all the information that they had. The first thing I saw was a table that showed the median wage for all sonographers across all specialties, as well as like the lower percentiles and the higher percentiles. So the very middle 50 percentile of sonographers makes $37.38 an hour, which comes out to $77,740 a year. So almost $78,000 a year, with the lower end being about $59,000 a year and the higher end breaking six figures and being over $100,000 a year. So that was really good to know, and I was glad to see that information, but it was just so broad. It compared every single sonographer, regardless of what type of job they had, regardless of where they were, and so I just wanted a little bit more information. So I looked a little bit further on the Bureau's website and I saw it broken down by state, which was super helpful. We see the South tends to make the least, the Midwest is pretty hit or miss, the West Coast tends to pay the most, with New England right up behind it also paying pretty well. In my home state of Texas, we're in that $70,000 to $77,000 a year range, which is just a little bit below the national average, but pretty good. And with me being in one of the large cities, I would expect to be probably on the higher end of that range. Now, this was all great information, but I still wasn't seeing anything that told me about the different specialties, because as you probably know, there's so many different types of sonography. There's so many different subfields that you can go into. So I looked around a little bit more and I saw some information on ZipRecruiter. I believe ZipRecruiter is all data that's self-reported from individuals who use the website, which is really excellent, but it's hard to know how recent the data is that they're using, so I'm not really sure if this is as up to date. So it talks about the 5 highest paying specialties. You'll notice that 2 of them are actually lower than the national average that we got from the US Bureau of Labor Statistics. So again, I'm not sure how recent this information is, but it shows vascular and OB-GYN both making the same amount, which is an average of $68,000 a year. A step up from that, we have cardiac sonography for $79,000 a year, and if you do pediatric, you tend to get an extra $1,000 for $80,000 a year. And the top paying specialty, according to ZipRecruiter, is neurosonography or brain sonography at $112,000 a year. Now, not a lot of people do that specialty, it's not very common, and so it makes sense that the few people who do that specialty get paid very well for it. I thought this was all really good information, but I wanted the most up-to-date information I could possibly get, and I lucked out. I found a thread of hundreds of sonographers posting about their salaries right now in July of 2022, which is when I'm filming this, and they would say their hourly rate, what kind of specialty they were in, where they were, and how much experience they had. And I loved this. I was so excited to find all of this information, and because I am over the top, I put it all in a spreadsheet. Now, I made this thinking that I would be the only one who would ever see it, so it's definitely not perfect. I am not a professional data analyst, but I wanted to be able to look at all of this great information and say, okay, what are people in my state making right now? What are people who are fresh out of school making right now? And be able to compare. So I'll drop a link to the spreadsheet that I made, as long as you promise not to judge me for not having it like perfectly formatted. I know I could have done things better. I didn't put whether people were like full-time or part-time or PRN. I kind of lumped some of the specialties together. So I know it's not perfect, but I think it's such a valuable tool, because really the point of all these sources is to help you make sure that you get paid what you're worth. I think that that is so important in any field that you're in, for people to talk about what they earn and make sure that nobody's getting shortchanged. So I hope that you learned something valuable here. I hope that if you look at this and say, wow, I'm underpaid, you can maybe use some of the information to get what you deserve. I think that we should all know what our value is. So if this video helps even one person to be able to negotiate a better rate for themselves, I will be so proud to have been part of that. But thank you guys so much for watching. Leave a comment below and I will see you in the next video. Bye!